because they'll be taken all together. Who are virtually with us, they can on the chat box. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nduko, by appreciating the organizers, that is the executives, the national chapter, for having me do this. As I sat there, I was wondering, what else do I say after my teachers? But, you know, the great teachers I need to say. And like my teacher that presented before me, taking it from the point of view of looking at the literature, drawing on my experience as a mentee to talk to us about how of mentoring relationships. And I also know that in this mentors and mentees, so I'm going to be looking at how to address the transitioning to also becoming a mentor myself. So we make the most of mentoring relationships. And Harry already alluded to one of the things we enjoy in Ibadan, and that is a culture which over the years has been there. I'll be speaking as I go along in my presentation this afternoon. And Harry especially, my being a psychiatrist today was one of the in it. Psychiatry posting as a medical student wasn't really a very short posting, but made so much impact in my interaction of Professor Hairi and one of his mentors, Oladeji. They made the posting so interesting that a lot of us came back. So I must acknowledge that. And I'll be looking next, like, using the mentee's lens at the mentor-mentee relationship. I will be drawing from the literature between an informal and the formal mentoring relationship. Prof alluded, also Professor Wakil in the morning also alluded some of these things in their. I'll be making it as simple as possible because, you know, at least I don't have as much knowledge as they do. So I'll break it down to how I understand. I'll look at the dynamics of the mentor-mentee relationship, the roles of the mentor and the responsibility, realizing that mentorship is a two-way street. A good mentor to produce a good mentee to enjoy a good mentoring relationship, two-way street, and how it works. And then I'll sticks of different mentor-mentee relationship, and the characteristics that make them successful, and the characteristics that also, and I'll wrap up with the benefits of receiving. So just to use this very simple definition, the background to my talk, I would say that dynamic, collaborative, reciprocal relationship. Started by talking about his own mentors, and then he went on his mentees, and then he's looking at what he does for his mentees and what mentees. So it's reciprocal, and it is focused personal and professional development. So any mentor key focus is on the mentee and not really get to as I go along. And we can two types of mentoring relationships: the formal, the informal one. And the mentor-mentee relationship, there's how we start by initiating the relationship. We go on to putting some structure to that relationship, and then there has to come a time when that relationship ends, when the also either a mentor himself or an independent researcher, looking at the differences between all these structures, using the informal and the formal mentor, distinguish between all these different stages. So if we start by initiation of the relation, for the formal mentoring, which is what Prof alluded to, and colleges and various schools abroad, and he also mentioned the one that is just started, whereby mentors, okay, the initiation of that relationship is program coordinator. Each mentor fills forms, characteristics, some of the professional expertise of the mentors also fill forms, and some of their feeling characteristics, some of their what their goals are, where they want to get to. And the is that to assign mentor, abi mentees, and we can see that that one is more arranged. But when it comes to the informal relationship that anybody, I think we kind of have is not a but kind of everybody along the line in the course of your trade of able to identify a particular person that you think you can, and somehow you somehow groom that relationship. Just about my own experience and how you can groom that relationship that I've benefited from both being oh, I've benefited from both having formal mentors and also having informal mentors. So both sides. So in the formal mentoring, we arrange an initiation meeting. Sometimes it can be the program coordinator. You must meet with your mentees at this particular time, and you use that time to first of all kind of another in that, and then to plan how that relationship will go forward, which is from the informal relationship we build gradually over time. And based on, look, this person, maybe I want to, I'm field in psychiatry, and this small senior person with in that field, that can be, something that decides my moving towards that person. Is this person somebody I like to work with? Do I enjoy working with this person that you are looking at? So there's that mutual attraction and chemistry between a man. If that chemistry is not there, informal relationships really may not work well. There, you see this person as somebody I can relate with, to be able to stand. And then the mentee usually are looking for somebody that can be a good role model based on what you want to do. At that stage, some of the things that decided my own was I growing up, essay was the challenge for me. I never knew how to write essays. So academia, I know I will be in trouble if I don't get somebody that can teach me how to. Research was another thing. When my primary mentor, he was my postgraduate form when I was going to do exams, because actually so I've been the one that I've rotated through his unit most. Head of department. So he said, who have you worked with more department? I said, you. So I said, okay, drop your form, I'll fill your form. WACP form where they write as the candidate shown any interest in research. For me, he said she has not shown any interest in research. That was the form I submitted for my exam. So you can me from picking this person as my mentor, because I saw this person as somebody that role models excellent, wanted to learn from. So the mentee is looking for a role model that can guide the person's career. Another thing that relationship, we came for a conference like this, and then we were traveling back, and we happened to all be sitting together at the lounge. And while we were sitting there, he was talking to another senior colleague from another institution. And one thing he said that they were over, and he said, I've got to a point in my career where I think the next day to raise another crop of people that can carry it. And I said, yes, this person will, because he himself has recognized the need to. So those are some of the things that decided me on, dragging, moving myself towards a mentor. And for mentors too, they're looking for mentees that are kind of a younger version of themselves, somebody that to impart knowledge to people that they consider to be, look, this person is a rising star, so this person has great potential. But the thing is, mentors should not see mentees as somebody that they're going to clone, that, I want to produce my, so I'm selecting this mentee because it may not work out that way. So I'll get to, so I want to try as much as possible to make this presentation as practical, drawing from what I've experienced. When it comes to putting structure to the relationship, normal one, there's usually a contract. Prof mentioned it during his presentation. The both sign a contract about that relationship. And part of that contract, how we're going to work together, what I'm going to be mentoring you on. Is it just for this? So there is a particular thing that they're working on. And in addition to that, they determine the frequency of the meetings. It's already signed in that contract once every month. It's already part of the contract you are signing. And where we're going to be meeting, is it in my office? Is it in the department? All those things are part of the contract. Is going to proceed and how long is going to last when we're terminating it. So you both sign, your mentor signs, you as a mentee, you sign. That is how formal relationships work. Informal usually lasts longer than the formal relationships. And as I said, it's based on personal, and there is more time to actually build on that relationship. The meetings are, it is between you and your mentor to you meet, and usually the meetings are based on need basis. Like for me, my mentor, when he gives me assignment and I don't do, I run away. So I'm sure all of us self in my shoes. When he gives assignment and you have not done it, you see him coming from the end of exit, because the first thing is going to be asking you literature review. You've not even started searching for literature, talk less of writing literature review. So meeting became when I need it. So when I know else, I will quickly do my backlog before I go for that meeting. So meeting, you as the mentee drives that relationship, and there has to be personal commitment. Mentor you has to be committed, and you as a mentee too should be committed to relationship. Relationship cannot work, because the informal relationship is based on relationship and personal choice. It's a string of trust and emotional closeness, and long-term career of the mentee. Next slide. When it comes to the process for the formal relationship, because mentors in a formal relationship with a mentee, you have to be writing reports. The reports, so we can understand that it is more based on obligation. I don't do this work well, what do I report at the end of the day? When maybe the institution reporting quarterly. So at the end of the quarter, if I've not met with my mentees, I must have 3 meetings to report. So I'm obligated mentees. So that is how it works. So there's less effective it's based on that obligation. But the informal relationship, select mentors that you think can communicate well with you. And it's not just, there's a particular language we all speak. Your mentor must be able to, the mentee can understand. If he's not speaking that kind of language, then you're going to be in, can't work well. If your mentor is somebody that likes to poke fun and person, that relationship is going to be off on a wrong footing and is going to be driven by that. So that you select a mentor with good communication and coaching skills, and then the really builds on having mutual interest and job functions. Department, my mentor was I by accident. What happened was, when I came in as a junior consultant into there were almost all the other days were already taken up by one consultant around. So there literally was no day for me to choose. Don't mind, you can work with me. You understand me? So when I joined, we're alternating, even as senior as he was to me, we're alternating word rounds. I got thrown to that unit. So our work interest was the same. And on that. And then an informal mentor. Your informal mentor is likely to be more partial. With the formal relationship, usually doesn't happen. When there are opportunities, your informal mentor will push you forward because wants to showcase his own person. And then when there are meetings you can't enter, your informal mentor will be there defending you. So you can see that there's some dynamics that are different between relationship and an informal one. Next slide, please. And then there has to be a time when a mentor mentee an end. For the former one, it is clear cut. Yeah, they have assigned you to me, or maybe for the medical student that was assigned now, I graduate. So if you graduate, except that relationship transitions to an informal one, I'm not obligated to continue mentoring. For the informal, it often becomes a challenge because a lot of relationships, there's not been that discussion about, look, you are growing, this relationship is changing. Now you have become a more, that's why you become a prof and you are still defining you because you have not defined that relationship. As you grow in that relationship, there has to, you are recognized as an equal partner of that relationship. I still work together very, but I'm recognized as an equal partner in all the things that we do. I'm no longer that young being taught at outset. I'm now, so even now, there are times when some people will come to him and say, do this, and then he will say, no, Bibi, you take this one up. You understand? So now he's as not as a younger person anymore, but as a, there's that transition from being in that relationship now becoming another standing. And it's very important in mental start this relationship. There has to be communication. These things are blurred when the communication is not clear. The next slide, please. Professor Wakil made mention of this in his talk, looking at Cram's mentor role theory. Mentor role theory, the Cram mentioned the fact that relationship in Cram's mentor role theory puts the roles or the functions of a broad categories, and one development functions, and these that assist a mentee in their career. And these functions, it is dependent on mentor's power and his position, dependent on the mentor's professional standard, what determines how well the mentor those roles to a mentee. Development functions. Then the second category, psychosocial functions, and these aspects of the relationship actually promotes the mentee's sense of competence, things that promotes the mentee's self-efficacy and personal development in addition to the career development. And the psychosocial functions, okay, I've not read this slide. Can we go to the one before this? The psychosocial functions actually are dependent on the relationship between the mentor and the mentee. Mentor and mentee, they have good interpersonal relations. And the psychosocial functions of the mentor, of the mentor fulfilled. Leave it, I'm here now. So I'll mentor roles. The career development function, last slide, are those that assist the mentee with this one. These career functions are equally in informal and formal relationships. Informal mentor relationships, functions are stronger in the informal mentor. That is actually built on relation. So career development of it. And I've been fortunate to have my men on various, those of us that are aspiring to be men, I was saying the other time that career is something that we have to build into. going to be difficult for us as mentors to be sponsoring our own personal money, but and you have factored career for your mentees into the grant, then it's easy for. I remember my mentor then, I wasn't the many, and he would say, conference coming up in this, the call for abstract is out. An abstract based on some of the work he's together, that we are part of. Abstract accepted for the meeting. Sponsorship. The sponsorship, sometimes what you would do, pay for the conference and then give you a stipend. The ones that have worked, that we divide events. Like for this conference now, there are hotels that we'll go on Google Map and then we'll look for near bills, so that if it's paying like 1,000, we have learned to look for 6,000 naira hotel, that the stipend will cover shopping. We know how we do it. It's always making for that cheap hotels. We smile. That is what we can afford. We don't have extra money to add to the sponsorship. Is one thing that your mentor is to provide, so that to give you exposure. Another thing, Prof alluded to some of these things the other time, to guide your career right. Somebody that knows the best way to proceed and is able to about the pitfalls. Something else that your mentor can give to you. For example, the where you are working, that are working service centers, that there's no room to do because your time is taking up activities related to rendering service. That is one of the things that your mentor can do. Way of saying that no, maybe, and carry out that project. So protection from in the sense of the institutions that they are varying rules due, so that you can scale. Another thing that mentors to provide challenging assignments. Let me tell two stories here. There was a time that I wanted to give a talk, and then I was maybe one so as a consultant. I was invited to give a talk at the American Psychiatry Association meeting. To me, said, "Bibi, critique my slide." When I received the slide, I laughed that I'll be critiquing a whole professor's slide for a conference. You understand? But maybe I saw a few punctuation mistakes. I said, "Sir, maybe you can add to this place here." At least I did something. You follow me? So it's a challenging assignment which I couldn't do. I mentioned the fact that it tells us to write abstract for conferences. When I write abstract, usually we say send it to me by email. So we send. By the time the abstract is coming back to you, when they happens, when the track changes, when they cancel, it will be in red. The word, it will be in red. So the black sheet that I send comes back red, almost fully red from top to bottom. And because that assignment, he knew it's something that was challenging. It's not as if I really know how to do it, but at least he wanted me to try. Another one was, there was a time he wrote one grant for one organization. Please tell me, at that was far from what I wanted to do. And I didn't even to understand how they write grants, because writing a grant is much different to writing articles. So he sent the grant to me, said critique it. When I got the thing, the language style was I was so enthralled by the language style. So after I looked at it, just like the other one too, I found grammar. I found omissions, grammatical, maybe one word missing. And then I supplied and I sent back and I wrote a mail to it. I said, "Sir, thank you for sending this to me. It was a great learning opportunity." And then he replied to me. He said, "I'm glad. That was why I sent it. I wanted you to learn." So you understand that's why I said mentor-mentee is a two-way street. So the two of you has to be in good communication, be able to work well together. So your mentor will provide you with challenging assignments. A lot of us, Professor Harry was saying something. He said his mentees are running away. Some of us run away when they provide us with challenging assignments. They're not doing it to make us fall. For most mentors, they're doing it so that we can grow. If you are not being provided with challenging assignments, you cannot grow. Another thing your mentor will do for you is to expose you. I've stayed in the best hotels in this city on free ride. And you know how it happened? They invited my mentor to come and give a talk at one military conference many years ago. And he said, I can't go. Can you go for this meeting? Why not? I stayed at Nikon Hilton for free for 3. You know how it can be. And then when I was going back, they gave me a plaque. You know, the plaque is written in his name. Since I and they also added the envelope on top of. Got home, I said, sir, thank you for the opportunity. This is what they black and gave me back the envelope. You did the work. You understand? So it's like relationship. So if I've learned some lessons, it's based on what I've experienced. Exposure is one of it. So in that meeting, I was exposed. I go for, and I'm presenting data from my mentors. What is the exposure? They're asking me questions about this work, even though it's not really the PI, but at least I'm part of it. So I'm being exposed. So those are the things your mentor will give you, provide exposure. Coming to the psychosocial functions, acceptance is one of it. To accept you for who you are. And that is one thing that I believe I've. And you know, there are times, as I was saying about challenging assignment, and then later he said, I keep forgetting that you're a woman and that you also have family respect. That is acceptance. So your mentor should be able to accept you for your, you know, you understand your and your strength. Confirmation of your professional self. I've mentioned my mentor putting me out there. Do it. And one other thing that you write paper. I myself look at the paper I've written, and this paper self, I don't even know where I can. And he will tell you, no, aim high. So we first submit to very top journal. No, then you now rewrite it to another lower journal. You understand? Telling you that you can do the role that mentor does. Counseling is another thing. Several times when there are decisions I don't even know what to do, I walk up to one of my mentors and say, sir, this is the challenge I have right now. So you can receive counseling. And it's not even just in terms of my times. Sometimes there are personal challenges that I know that my mentor has before. So I can relate with it and counseling. Friendship, mentors. And as mentors, mentees, that's one thing that we need. Modeling is another one. You know, I was saying the other time that when he put envelope and he returned it, when there was my own mentors too, to go and take a lecture on my behalf, and they gave notice, I said, no, you can keep it, because my own mentor did that to me. So it will be, I won't be able to, you know, be some kind of like social dissonance for me to somebody else has not done that to me. So role modeling is something that we learn from. And as I mentioned, mentoring is a two-way street relationship. You may think that you are not benefiting, but the mentors know you are benefiting them. There are times that will come here and say, let's discuss this project. And then when we are discussing it, I think this thing can work that way. It might be better off done. So at least I've provided some useful feedback. So don't see it as you don't have an idea. As a mentee, you have an idea. There's some things that mentors may not know, even though most of the time you are picking a mentor that knows more than you do. And mentors have different, not all of them can perform all the roles that I listed in the last slide. Part of being a good mentor, to learn that my mentee also needs to learn this skill and be able to introduce that another mentor that can provide that role. It takes a mature mentor to do that. And I want to submit here that for us, you know, in the still being mentored, you probably a complement of multiple mentors capable of teaching us diverse our career development. Most of the time, one mentor can't do it. He can't provide you with everything. And the success of that relationship is determined by the two. What brings to the table and what the mentee brings to the table. Just like, you know, for any relationship, friendship, marriage, it takes So does a mentor-mentee relationship. So let me look at some of the character, some, but I'll be just be but of, I'm talking of personal attributes, mentor and mentee, that makes for a good relationship. Professor Harry also mentioned it in a slide. Treason, it means the mentor always takes decisions. Sorry, the next slide. The mentor always takes relationships based on what is in the best interest of the mentee. Let me, the time I had this opportunity, I just finished one master's in epidemiology. Then for a master's in the US, also clinical epidemiology. And when I went to him that I have this opportunity and I want to go on this program. And he said, what are you going to benefit from this program? The masters here. And I'm not sure, I don't think the curricula are different. But when I still want to try, you know what he did? He wrote me, actually needed a recommendation. That was why I went to him. And he didn't say, even though he advised me against it, and I'm saying I still want to go, me the recommendation. I took the recommendation, submitted on my paper, me. But it wasn't because, if he had not given me the recommendation, I probably would, if he had written that recommendation, they would have taken me. And like 2 years up again. And this time I had no competition. He was already sure that I would be, that's where I was in my career. And I said, I actually turned them down. That think is worthwhile for me to go. When I didn't get it to go, I didn't get it. So it is in the best mentee, any decision that a mentor is taking. And the mentee, an active participant in this relationship. So you're the one that is shaping the relationship, know what you want. If as a mentee you don't know what you want, then you cannot be in a relationship, because you are the one that will be driving the relationship. Is another thing that you want from a mentor. I don't want a mentor that is okay. Everything you are doing, you have arrived. If, why do I need this mentor? So the mentor has to be honest, be able to criticism when you need it. Honest criticism, both in terms of, look, you have not done well. Just like I mentioned, my paper will come back red, and then I will go and do it again, half red, not fully red again. And then, but now when I write, maybe that corrected, that means I've grown with my honest criticism is something. And as a mentee, you must be open to them. Sometimes, like we joke in my department, mentor has very good command of English. So when maybe he needs to scold you, he won't raise his quietly. So after you leave the room and then you have opportunity to reflect, then prof really gave me. But the point is saying it, you are smiling, because at that time you've not reflected on what he's saying. Reflect on what he's saying, that yes, he has really given you the criticism. So as a mentor, to learn how to do criticism, shouting on your mentee is not going to, but when you know how to do it, then I attended some course, and they will tell you when you want to criticize, use the sandwich approach. You start by saying what the person has done well, and then the bad, what you want to correct in between, and then you end up by appreciating it a try. So when you use that kind of approach, your mentees will be less antagonistic to them. But as mentees, we have to be open to feedback. There's no how we can grow in what we, and active listening for the mentor, identifying and focus on the issues that the mentee and looking for the best way to guide the mentee making. But for the mentee, it is taking advice that your mentor gives you seriously. It's not necessary that you follow all of them. We'll also appreciate that fact that is not every advice. You're also going to be making judgments. Is this advice best good for me? So the mentor-mentee relationship is based, and a good mentor is usually accessible, but it also calls for the mentees being respect mentor's time and other commitments. Like when I started in my, I go to my mentor's office and I see that he's busy and he's only saying, he's not even looking up at me. He's only saying good afternoon. I run away. Time. But the next time I get there, I say, Habibi, how is it? How is your family? And I will relax. Everything I want to say, I will say at that time. So we need to have that understanding. There is not only you that this person, there are other mentees that your mentor is also providing mentoring for. You know, if you are like a baby and you are taking up all the mentor's time, how does he have time to take these? So we need to be respectful of the mentor's time. We also need to understand that they have other, as they're mentoring us, they're also writing, they also have to progress in their own career. Understanding of that. So as much as our mentors are accessible and available, we must be mindful of not wasting. I'll get to that in the next slide. A mentor has to be trustworthy. And being trustworthy includes that he had mentors that he will give his manuscripts to review for him and give him feedback. Trustworthy in the terms of that my mentor manuscript and put it under his table. And then 1 year, I'm still waiting something that I need for my career advancement. So I have to be able to trust my manuscript will get reviewed in time. It will be prompt. And that I need to trust my mentor, that my mentor has, you know, he will defend me. He has got my back. I need to have that trusting relationship to enjoy it. And, you know, experience, another thing that we want, a mentor that has professional networks that can link us with other people that can, you need something. I remember when I was going to do my part 2, I needed instruments. My mentor was able to link up with somebody that gave us the instrument. So you are looking for that kind of mentor, a network of colleagues and collaborators that is willing to introduce you, that can provide you with help navigating the institution. That is, he has great professional, and you also want a mentor that has experience with mentoring, because if your mentor is not, it also gives, you know, problem, because you won't be able to identify your strengths, your weaknesses, and you also won't be able to know what his own limitations are. And we also need mentors that are ready to set high standards for us, motivating us to get to those high standards while working on our shortcomings. And as we need to be responsible in driving this, that when you need to, where you are the one, if in for informal relationships, is sometimes he will call you to ask you, how are you doing? But most of the time, you're the one that give feedback. That's how you gave me this assignment. But no mentor likes a mentee. Mentor, and 1 year you're still waiting for feedback on. Mentor like such a mentee, because the mentor to sometimes is giving you to work on is maybe a publication that he also wants, you know, needs, or maybe his own also needs to get published. But as a mentee, you are now keeping his data ransom. No mentor will like that. So drive the relationship. And then when you are having a meeting with your mentor, what I normally do, I have all this. When I need to go and meet my mentor, I want to discuss all the things that are important. So when he might start on something else, taking me a book, and I will say, excuse me, sir, I still have something else. I'm respectful in doing it. And before I leave, I will come agenda. And I also carry, your mentor gives you some action to, you know, if you are like me, so I will write it down. And as I'm doing those assignments, yes, this one that he said I should do, I have. Next time when I'm reporting back, I know what to read. Please pay attention to time. Something that is due next week. We are giving him today to review, and you are telling him, sir, we're not being practical. I have something that will be due. Once I finish writing, You know what that means? So that knows it is coming. So it can keep space, time for that assignment for when to be pay attention to time, give advance notice for deadlines. And you need to know your mentor style, your strength. If you understand your mentor, problems. But if you don't, relationship is going to be, there's going to be a lot of friction. And some mentors prefer that when you want it, so you know that this mentor work. Some mentors will say, as and is to male, that is his style. With it, if you want that thrive, and it's important as a mentor. There are times I look at it. What can I give my mentor? Young consultant, and not it's not really the or the amount you spend on the gift. It is the thoughtful by we at Christmas we buy a hamper. Before there were fewer, but now that we are more, we all person's pockets now. It's not too big anymore. So we go, we buy a beauty. We don't buy hamper. We select things that we think this mentor would use, so that you can travel. It might be a small pen, it might be a key holder. Please show appreciation to your mentor. It's very happy. And also, you as a mentee too, you also have that fulfillment. At least I did something. A leech, sucking and sucking without giving back. And we should know when a mentoring came. There's no point trying to flog a dying horse. The horse is already still trying to get it to continue moving. So keep is not working. It's important to know. And that brings looking at the qualities of relationships that either make for success or failure. For communication, that relationship cannot thrive. And I was saying the relationship is not working. That calls for honest discussion and the mentee. A lot of times, people just on non-functional relationships and everybody moves on. Communication may actually solve some of the problems that are inherent in. And then when there's lack of commitment, maybe the mentor is committed, he's pursuing, just using the parable of the sower. It's something that a lot of our mentors use for us too. And they will say, look, we're scattering of you would actually bring forth fruit. So some of mentors are more committed than us mentees. And even there are times that this is committed, and then you are going there knocking on the door, and the mentor never just has mentor that doesn't just have your time. I'm not sure that relationship is working. Relationship that is working, the mentor, though busy, might tell you, I'm busy now, please can you come back at this time, so you know that this person is. Personality differences are also there. I said that usually it's better it is based on this chemistry between, and then this person has other attributes that you admire and you can work with, so that makes it. Another thing that makes mentoring relationships to fail, when there is either perceived or real competition. There's some mentor I've heard of mentee relationship that this is actually what ended it, because the mentor is thriving and the mentor is feeling threatened. And I've seen somebody that, did you hear the comment my mentor just made? He said you are moving too fast. What should he do? For me, difficult for me, because this mentor is a senior, to mind my tongue, because I don't know, they can work out their differences, and then I'm the one that will get caught in the pit. I'm middle of my oga and the junior in offering advice in that kind of situation. You personally evaluate the relationship. You think it's working? If it's not working, then do you want to move forward with it, or so it's up to you. I've just provided guidance, make decision. So there are sometimes some relationships are just exploitative. Young in the university, and then some of our senior colleagues, residents, then had to drive their consult Well, that's more or less like a servant. Sorry, that is more a servitude kind of relation. That's an exploitative relationship. And another is when it comes to ownership of intellectual property. Someone before that, it was her PhD. When the professor that supervised that was going to put name on the paper. So you understand. So there are times that that happened. For me, I can say that we have enjoyed a good. My mentor, if you draft the paper, is his data. But if you draft the paper, you can be first author on that paper about it. So you understand. So it is clear. He doesn't. He allows. In a lot of instances, some people you draft paper somewhere down the line. Those are some things that as our mentors need. If this person has done the work, then the person should get credit for work done. And my mentor, there's no free ride. So if you did not do the work, I don't think you are going to get else does it. And I've learned that I don't take it personal. So when another of working together, he does a paper, my name is not on it, I don't take it personal. I probably did not contribute to it. So the free ride. So those are things that in academia, particularly those of us in and at times conflicts of interest makes you want to do something, your mentor wants something else. So that makes a mentor-mentee relationship to fail. And when it comes, those that have mentoring actually have better career and than those who did not have mentoring. Career satisfaction is actually best for those that had informal mentoring. And I'm sure we can understand why, because other psychosocial responsibilities that informal mentor for the mentee along the career line. When it comes to productivity, these have shown that whether you have a formal mentor or an informal doesn't affect productivity. The productivity is not significantly different. It's different when you don't have a mentor. So those that have mentors are more likely to be more grant to be PI or co-PI on grants and be more involved with research compared with those that did not. It really doesn't matter whether that mentor relationship was formal or informal. That's what studies. And then if you had benefited from being a mentor, you're also more likely to mentor others. Testing based on I'm sorry, the next slide. Testing. This based on the study that this person did in 1999. Wasn't in an academic medical environment. It targeted were journalists, social workers, and engineers. And these are some of the things. So just like I've said, informal versus had better satisfaction, better compensation. What that meant was the pay for those was better in those fields. Don't have mentoring, but there was no difference in terms of career progression. So probably might have learned some negotiation skills from their mentor, which made them able to negotiate better. They didn't say why, but I'm guessing that that's probably why. Let's look at what is the influence of the mentor and mentee in a mentor-mentee. As I mentioned, I couldn't get papers that have done this for, but I got some based on this person's work. So gender, sorry, when the mentor is female, she is female, compared to when the mentee is female, they have more social activities. And I get mentor-mentee relationship, you're also careful. Your mentee is a female restaurant, it might begin to raise questions that is the relationship beyond the for female to female, they enjoy more social activities. Male to male, compared to when a male, the male that is being mentored by a female has rates compared to when a female is being mentored by a male. So I think one of the reasons is in this next point. When a male is mentoring, or somebody is being mentored by a male is being mentored by a female, you are less likely to be given challenging assignments compared to when it is male. So that might be one of the reasons why the promotion rates might be lower, because the a little more challenging assignment. I gave the point, like my mentor would say, one, but you're a woman and you have other commitments. So you understand, because he was looking at it that this is my mentor, so you need to be up to speed in everything, but also need to accept some personal limitations. So in rounding off, I can say that if I've seen further, it is because I've had opportunity shoulders of giants. This is a quotation by Isaac Newton, which is what I based my topic of the talk. And we need to realize in closing that mentoring is a lifelong process. Our career journeys, we're going to need several shoulders to stand on as we travel along. And we full. You are not the only one standing on those shoulders. Other people are sharing the shoulders of those men we're going along. So we need to be mindful of how we handle it. And as you are going along, please build your own. There are other people that are waiting to stand on those shoulders as you're traveling along your career. Acknowledge, please, next slide. I need to acknowledge my men live, some are late. And I said, as I both formal and informal, so you can say I have at least 7 on this slide. I've just picked those ones that were most influential in building my academic career. Last slide, please.